Hello, STAC. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the administration as well as the mentoring program for inviting me here to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, charisma. So my name is Joe Kwan, the Connection Counselor, and I'm going to start out with a quote from St. Thomas Aquinas. It's my favorite quote, and let me just be real with you, it's the only quote I know from St. Thomas Aquinas, and I looked it up last night. But I think it's really applicable to what you're going through. It's really applicable to anyone's lives. And if you know the end of the quote, please finish it for me, okay? So the quote goes like this. If the highest aim of a captain were to preserve his ship, anyone know the end of that?
It would sink. It would sink.
It would sink? Good guess. If the highest aim of a captain were to preserve his ship, he would keep it in port forever. Right? So what's the problem with that? Sydney?
No progress.
No progress. You don't go anywhere, right? So right now, I wouldn't say you're docked in port. You're definitely moving, but we always have a choice to make, right? Do we take our ship out into uncharted waters? We don't know what's going to happen. Rough seas, good seas. Do we navigate? Do we figure out where we're going, or do we just stay kind of where we're comfortable in the dock? It's nice and dry. There's a restaurant over there. That's great, and sometimes you need to do that, right, to reset. But you don't make any progress. You don't grow in life unless you take the ship out there and take it out on the high water. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take the ship out, and we're going to take the ship out. What's our destination? What's our destination today for all of you? More charisma, right? That's where we're going. So by the end of this talk, we should all be able to have and create more charisma. Now, in order for you to take your ship out, a couple things you're going to need to do. One, you're going to have to be engaged, right? So you can just sit there and you can just think about what you're going to have for lunch, or what I generally, when I zone out, it's like, what am I going to watch on Netflix tonight, right? You can do that. That's fine. No mind control here, but that's not going to help you get to your destination. And the other thing is, you need to just really participate, even if you're not talking out loud, just mentally, participate in what's going on. Sound good? Okay, so let's get started. Think about a person that you know who's super charismatic, like just charisma just going off of them in waves. All right, does everyone have a person in mind? All right. Anyone like to share who that person is for charisma? It could be someone that's like a celebrity. It could be someone that's an athlete. It could be someone you know, friends or family. Any examples? Who's charismatic?
Jim Cramer comes to mind.
Jim Cramer,
Yeah.
of Mad Money.
Same thing, yeah.
Right? What's so charismatic about it?
He has a lot of energy and
Yeah.
a lot of expertise in his field.
Okay.
And he kind of keeps it going.
Great. One more. Anyone else from this side of the room? Who's charismatic?
Most charismatic person I can think is Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey, Iron Man. Yeah. All
He's
right. All
Iron,
right. Yeah. Okay. Why is Robert Downey? What makes Robert Downey Jr. charismatic?
Oh, he's amazing. Every part of the cast of every movie that he makes, they say that he's trying to keep the group together, even if it's the celebrity, the main character. He's always trying to keep the group as together as possible, trying to involve everybody, and trying to be kind of the dad of the group, the father of any work he does. So I think it's a very good.
Yeah, absolutely. So he brings people together. Absolutely. All right. So what I want everyone to do is hold that charismatic person in your head, who that person is. You've been invited to an exclusive dinner to meet with this person. Okay, so get all dressed up for the venue. It's a swanky restaurant. You head to the restaurant. You open the door. The hostess is there, just immaculately coiffed and dressed, hostess, because it's a really high-end restaurant or host. And they take you to the table and they say, here you go, and your charismatic person is there. And for 5 minutes, you have their full attention. And their charisma is just boom, you were I thought it was good on screen and TV, but man, this is powerful, right? So think about that feeling that you would get. Right? Just think about it. What would that feel like if you were there with that person, your idol, right? Someone larger than life, and now all their charisma is shining right on you. All right? Think about how that feels. Now think about if you had that power, right? And you could turn that on other people. Think about how useful and powerful that might be for you to help you reach whatever destination it is you want. What's some place where, let's say in the next week, in your agenda or itinerary, that charisma might be useful? Something you might have coming up in the next week. You look like you were going to say something.
You guys gonna see a game? A soccer game?
A soccer game. Are you an athlete?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You're on the field, right? It's not just the physical things you do, it's leading the team, right? Where else? Where's another example? In the next week, month, maybe year?
Interview.
An interview. Absolutely. Great. Who wants to interview with a dead fish, right? I mean, I had this one interview, I think it was a mock interview, and the person kind of almost seemed like they didn't want to be there, right? They were like so just not engaged and just not making eye contact and like really like, you know, I mean, not to say that they were depressed because I'm not a psychologist, but they almost seemed like very like sad almost. And it did not leave the impression of someone that you would want to hire and work with and put in front of clients or, you know, put on a team where they have to sort of, you know, evolve with the energy of the team, right? So that's why charisma is so powerful. It really helps you sort of inspire, motivate others, and helps you accomplish your goal. But there's a problem. Okay. The problem is charisma is very elusive. Raise your hand if you think you know how to get more charisma. Right? Let's say if you went out here into the cafeteria and you asked 10 people, how do I get more charisma? You'd probably get 10 different answers. Right? Or you would get sort of the same answer in different ways, but not anything that would particularly help you. But I know what you're thinking. Joe, there's this great thing, it's called Google. I can find out how to get more charisma. We don't need people to stand up in front of us and talk about how to get more charisma. Well, please don't do it now. But I challenge you afterwards. Look it up, how to get more charisma. I can guarantee you what you're going to find. You're going to find a list of attributes of charismatic people, right? So it's almost like, have any of you participated in a psychology study here at school? So it's almost like they took a whole bunch of college students, gave them a survey, found out who was the most charismatic, and then like followed around a few of them for a week and said, well, what does this person normally do? And then they just said those and aha, these things are common, so this must be what causes charisma. That's not really how it works, right? How about your idols? Like you said, you play soccer, right? Who's your soccer idol?
I guess it would have to be my hometown team player on Monopoly.
Okay.
Lorenzo
Lorenzo
Insigne. Insigne.
Lorenzo Insigne. Okay. So let's say you know all his signature moves, right? You probably do, right? You watch his film, he's your favorite guy. And you drill them and you practice them, right? Does that make you him? No. It doesn't give you his power. Let's say by some stroke of luck, they did some study on him and they followed him around every minute of his life for a year. And they put everything down into a spreadsheet. He wakes up at this time. This is what he has for breakfast. This is how he talks to people. He goes left at this moment. He goes right at this moment. And you studied that. And you drilled it for a year. And after a year, you showed up to his club and said, give me a contract. I'm in. Would you get that contract? No. Why not?
You're trying to be someone else.
Yeah. You're trying to be someone else, and it kind of misses the point. What is the point in soccer? What's the whole point of the game?
It's a team game.
But what's the point to win?
That's the point.
Right, but how do you win a soccer game?
Score.
You score, right? So let's say you look exactly, you are like Terminator. You can move like him, you look like him, you're the same height, you're the same build. And you move exactly like he does on the field, but you don't score any goals. Is that going to be helpful to your cause? No. So you have to understand what the goal is, why the thing works. He's a great player, and I'm assuming he's a striker.
Yes.
He's a great player. Not to say scoring goals is the only thing that's important in soccer, but to get the better score, he's a great player because he knows how to score goals, right? So everything else he does, from his little head fake to his speed to the way he interacts with teammates, that is all in service to being a great player by helping his team score goals. Would you agree?
Yes.
Right. So that's the problem. Who here likes cooking or watches cooking shows? Yeah. What are the cooking shows you like?
I forget. I only watch them randomly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like maybe Chopped or.
Yes, I've seen
Chopped.
that.
Yeah. How about
The
you?
baking shows.
I like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay. All right. Anyone else? Someone over here raised their hand. We're big fans of Cupcake Wars
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the Great British Baking Show. That's a good one, right? So in the Great British Baking Show, they have 3 rounds, and one of the rounds is called a technical challenge. Okay, so they give the contestants a recipe and instructions, and they're not great instructions, but they give them kind of general instructions. And it's usually like a thing that they've never cooked before, right? It's a dish that they've never cooked before, and it's always like a scone or like a pastry. It's a baking show, right? And then these poor contestants are just struggling to try to figure out how to cook this thing and please the judges, or you get kicked off, right? So high stress. What's the problem? Why can't they just create this great dish? They've been given the ingredients, right? They've been given instructions. Why can't they do a great job the first time?
They have higher expectations than what they physically can do.
Yeah? All right, what else? Higher expectations, what else?
No practice.
No practice. What were you going to say, Steve?
I was gonna say lack of experience.
Yeah, lack of experience. So you do the thing the first time and it's like garbage, right? And then someone tells you, well, maybe you should have fixed this, you should have done that. And then after time, after time, after time, after time, you're creating like one of the best in the world, right? So like all the best chefs in the world, you know, Morimoto, Bobby Flay, all the best chefs, they started out as terrible chefs, right? But they learned and they got the experience. And it's the same thing as charisma. So those attributes that they tell you, make eye contact, be present, right? They don't teach you how to cook, right? Those are just ingredients. They don't teach you the secret formula, and you need the practice. So today, I'm here to teach you how to cook. And the recipe is, what's the recipe? Charisma, right? Okay. So how are we going to get there? The problem is, if you don't know why something works or how something works, you can't get more of it, right? At that point, you're just flipping a coin or guessing, and you're like, sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't, right? So you need to know why something works, and you know this from your studies, and you've gotten into this school, and you've accomplished a lot. You need to know why something works, to do more of it, to get more of it. Would you agree? Okay, great. So what I find is sometimes a physical demonstration of an abstract concept is very helpful, because I can talk here for hours and hours, but it really won't stick in your head. So sometimes a physical demonstration can really nail home the point. So everyone, a round of applause for Janine, our volunteer, and Sydney, and it was Lauren, right? All right, so come on up. So Janine, I just want you to stand right here. It'll just be 5 minutes. Sydney, come on up. Lauren, come on up. Okay, so you're all right. So both of you just stand in front of one chair. Okay, stand in front of one chair. Yeah. Okay, Lauren. Lauren, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so Lauren, you get to go first. Pick which one you want. Okay. So Sydney, this is yours. So Lauren owns a stationery shop. What's the name of your shop?
Lauren's shop.
Lauren's shop. Yes, good. No one will be confused who owns the shop. Sydney, what's the name of your beverage store? You sell the best water, Fiji water, Voss water.
Water a la Reeves.
Water a la Reeves. Okay, all right, great stores. Now, here's the scenario really quickly. Janine is on an interview, Okay, so I'm gonna just sort of describe some scenarios that she's on her interview, and at some point we're gonna pause, and she's gonna have like a need. And your job here as shop owners, I'm gonna give you about 10, 20 seconds each, once at a time, to talk to Janine and convince her to come to your store to buy what she needs. Okay? Make sense? Everyone good? So Janine, she's got this great interview. She gets up in the morning, gets dressed, everything's ready. She's in the car. She drives to the interview. She gets to the lobby. They tell her great. They call. She sits down. She's in the lobby, and all of a sudden, she's got a problem. She's thirsty. So thirsty, right? Because when you're stressed out, like that's pretty normal, right? You get so thirsty. So what you need to do is, as they talk to you, when they're done with their sort of pitches, I want you to tell the audience which store you decide to go with. Okay? So, Lauren, why don't you go first?
Can you start?
Can you start? Go ahead, and you got 10 seconds.
Hello, nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
Thirsty.
Thirsty? Oh my God! At Water Olive Reeves, we have the best water. Would you like to try a sip?
Guess I'll try it, but what's in it?
Water is the greatest water you'll ever try. It's so crisp, it'll get rid of your thirst instantly. All you need is a drop.
Filtered?
Of course it's filtered. The cleanest water you'll ever drink.
Is there minerals in it?
No.
Okay, is it sparkling or is it?
Clear. We have sparkling if you'd like to try. I have a bottle.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, good. All right, good. All right, come on back. All right, Lauren. Do your best. Do your best.
How am I supposed to get a thirsty person to buy my stuff? He has water.
Be creative. Do your best. 10 seconds.
Hi, I'm Lauren. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Would you like to try out our stationery items?
Sure. I hear you guys got pens. I'm more of a pencil person, but what makes your pen so special?
Our pens have the best ink. They write the blackest of the black. They're really thin pointed and they write really well.
Do they smudge? Because I feel like every time I write with a pen, I end up never smudge.
Nope.
That's a pretty big
We
deal.
are guaranteed that they don't smudge.
How about different colors? I like to write in different colors.
Yes, we have blue, we have pink, we have red, we have black, we have gray.
Okay, great. All right, so come on back to your stores.
I don't
So,
like my
Lauren,
store.
please tell everyone at this moment when you're just so thirsty and you're about to head into the most important interview of your life, which store would you physically get up and walk to purchase something? Which store?
I mean, if I was really, really thirsty, probably my priority is to get some water.
Okay.
But I might make a detour because I see this awesome pen store. And although I'm a pencil person, if she convinces me with colorful pens, I might go in that direction.
Okay, good. All right, so she's made that decision. I'm just going to make an executive decision. She went to get the water, okay? And she's back. She's in the interview. She goes into the interview. It's a great interview. Everything's really good. But at the very end, she hears some of the admins talking and saying, man, we feel really bad for this person because they've already selected an insider to get the job. And her interviewing was just so now she's walking out. She's so sad. Who does she run into? The CEO of the company. The CEO of the company sees, is very empathetic, and sees the Lauren. She's like, Lauren, she doesn't say Lauren, she doesn't know who you are. She's like, what's going on? And then they start talking, and she explains what happened. And the CEO is like, listen, I have to go on a plane in about an hour. Here's what you can do. I'm going to give you my personal email. No one knows the CEO's, no one knows her personal email. It's like just one that she would use, especially not for work. And she says, if you send me, she says to Lauren, an email before I get on this plane, I'll make sure that my assistant, who's not coming with me, sends a couple emails to make sure we line you up for some other interviews, because it sounds like this one was good. I guarantee I'll do whatever's in my power if you're a good fit. All right. Sound good? Okay. Now the CEO's name is Maria Fontanova. Blah, 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 blah. There's like a million letters in her name, and she tells you the email a couple times, but you're like, oh my God! As soon as I walk to my car, I'm gonna forget this person's name, and I'll lose my chance. And I must have lost my pen on the way out. Oh my gosh! You're in, Lauren.
What am I doing?
You were trying to sell her to get her to go to your store.
Again?
Yeah, she wants to write down this email.
So I can get a pen.
Great. What's like your cheapest pen? I just need a pen.
It's like $2. It writes really well. It doesn't smudge. We have different colors.
Kind of pricey, but I'll take it.
Okay. So what color do you need?
I'm a pink person, so I'll go
A
with
pink person?
Yeah.
Okay. Use our pink pen. You can test it out if you want.
Okay.
All right, great. All right, thank you. And then next, we have to give Sydney a chance. So he's in. Let's see what he's got.
Where'd you go?
Not great.
Oh my God, you must be pretty thirsty. We have sparkling water. It'll cheer you up.
I appreciate that. Not as thirsty right now, but thank you.
Have an amazing day.
Thank you.
All right, I love the class that Sydney shows. He knows when he's defeated. All right, so, Janine, which store would you choose in this instance?
Probably run towards the pen.
Yeah, why?
'Cause I'm in need of a pen.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's give everyone a round of applause for their excellent acting skills and good sportsmanship. All right, thank you. Thank you. All right. So you may be thinking, what can we learn about charisma from this demonstration, right? So I'm going to teach you today the definition of charisma that will help you get more of it. It'll speak to the why. But before we get to that, let's break down what we saw a little bit today. How did Janine choose to go out of her way and go to a store? What was the basis for her choice?
Her need.
Her need, right? Her need when?
When she was thirsty, and then her need when she was.
Exactly, her need in that specific moment. Now, we can't really see the stores, this is just like a hypothetical, but is Sydney's store substantially better than Lauren's store? No. Are they direct competitors? Is a water store comparing against a stationery store? No. Yet, in some instances, Janine is choosing the water store, and in some instances she's choosing the stationery store, right? So just hold that in your mind for a second as I go over the actual definition for charisma that'll help you get more, okay? Because it's not being there, it's not making eye contact, it's not being a good listener. There are plenty of people who are good listeners and people just like to talk to them, but they're not charismatic, right? Okay, so here it is. The charisma is the ability to sense and deliver whatever is needed from an emotional perspective in a given moment. Okay, so I'm going to say that one more time. Charisma is the ability to sense and deliver whatever is needed from an emotional perspective in a given moment. So how might this work? Let's say you go to a party, right? You walk into a party and it's kind of like dead. And you sense that it's dead. And you say, man, this party is dead. Are you charismatic? No, what are you?
Negative.
Negative and also just observant,
Yeah.
right? You picked it up, like this party's dead, like no one's having a good time. What does that party need?
Charisma.
Sorry?
Excitement.
Excitement? Charisma, right? It needs someone, and by charisma, I take it you mean it needs someone who can take people who are having a dull time and bring them to a place where they're having a good time, right? And charisma being the vehicle. So if you are that person, whether it's because you bring great music or you have great conversation or whatever it is, the thing that you bring is not important. It's the process. It's the fact that you've identified that people are here and they want to be here. And you are the person who helps bring them there. That's charisma. Now let's switch to another scenario. Let's say you're in a hospital and there's someone you care about dearly who's, waiting for a diagnosis, and everyone's gathered around because this person is like a tremendous influence on so many people's lives, and they're waiting to hear the diagnosis from the doctors, and everyone's like so concerned, right? That party animal person, are they charismatic in this setting? No. No one wants a DJ at a hospital, right? No one wants to hear jokes when they're waiting for someone who's, really not feeling well. What type of person is charismatic in that situation?
Someone who understands.
Sorry?
Someone who understands.
Someone who understands? Good. What else? What sort of things are they doing for you and the people there who are worried? calm and comforting, yeah, understanding. That uncle or that aunt, or it could be a member of the clergy who just has that thing that kind of like calms people down and says, look, even if everything isn't all right, it's going to be all right, right? Who brings that? That person is charismatic at the hospital. Maybe they're not so much fun at the party, but they are charismatic at the hospital. So if you think about what happened with Janine in the stores, and you think about those scenarios, you can start to see why charisma is kind of elusive, right? It's not the same, right? If you're great at conversation, but you only know how to like have a certain type of conversation, you're only charismatic when the situation suits your skill. You're not charismatic in other areas, right? So you can't get more charisma by just doing one thing. It's invisible. It's between you and the person that you're with each time, right? And that's how you get more charisma. Now you may be thinking, Joe, that's all well and good. That's theory. We need actual methodology, right? Like, how do I get more charisma? Right? Any suggestions from the room? How would you go about getting more charisma? Knowing what you know now.
Well, it's being in those different experiences, like you said, having the ship sail, it just stays at port. You're not going to experience those different scenarios. You won't know how to react in the future to them.
Yeah, that's absolutely a great example. Have more experience. Get out there and sort of learn the sort of range of human emotion. Learn.
Being able to adapt to different situations.
Being able to adapt, right, work on your adaptability. Don't be so, what's the word, rigid, right, in your approach to things. One more.
Be empathetic, because you said you got a sense and then deliver that. And if you're in a sense, if you're not empathetic, you don't understand what's going on in front of you, you can't deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. Empathy is huge. Sorry, you have
Being
one more.
authentic and following your skill set, kind of where you know you can fit in best. If you think maybe you're not the best suit the party, but you're better at the hospital, or maybe that's
Yeah.
where you should kind of align yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Just be real, right? Be your, authentic, real self. So I'm going to share with you something that can help you today, as soon as you leave, start to become more charismatic. In order to do that, first thing we got to think about is, what is the most common barrier for us sensing what's going on with others? What are some of the common barriers as to why we don't know what's going on? Someone else could be suffering and we don't even realize it.
Like not asking questions.
Not asking questions, absolutely. What else?
Or biases.
Biases, absolutely.
Just not engaging. Everyone's in their phone and just
Yeah,
not being aware of what's
total
going on.
disengagement, absolutely. What else?
I was gonna say not interacting.
Not interacting. Yep, Sydney?
Assumptions.
Assumptions, yeah, along with biases, assumptions.
Not knowing about the past experience of like what this person is going through in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Just lack of any sort of frame of reference, right? So one common thing that really helps us from sensing what is going on with others is all of us, we're primarily concerned with ourselves, right? We're thinking about what show we're going to watch on Netflix later tonight, right? Or we're thinking about what meal we're going to have or what job we're going to apply to. Meanwhile, a trusted friend or a family member could be coming to us and talking about something, but we're not really listening, right? Or to use your example, we're on the phone. So like our brain is divided. And humans, we can't really multitask that well, right? So we don't really sense what's going on. And it sounds like lawn mowing is going on outside.
Inside.
or inside. So you can't really sense what's going on. So here's an exercise you can do. I like to call this charisma kata. So does anyone here know what a kata is? Anyone trained in martial arts? Right? A kata is a repeated form of motions that you do over and over again. It's like a drill, right? And all of you have done katas before. I know it. I can guarantee I would bet any amount of money, right? When have you done a kata before, like a drilling over and over? Everyone in this room has done the same kata.
Studying for exams.
Studying for exams, even more elementary.
Waking up in the morning.
Waking up in the morning. Think math.
Counting.
Very close. All right. What's 2 times 2?
4.
What's 4 times 4?
16.
What's 2 times 3?
6.
Yeah.
I'm glad it didn't get
I stopped before the math
It's
person. What's 64 times 69?
Yep, now.
Right? Multiplication tables. It's a kata, right? You drilled them when you were a kid. It was very important to your teachers that you learn that you don't have to take out a calculator to figure out 2 times 2. You know it's 2 times 2. Boom. 4. Right? So that's why we have katas, so we can practice something to internalize it. So when we need it, look, you're not going to go out of here. I see someone taking notes in the back. You have a charismatic situation. You're not going to go, what did Joe say about charisma? As you're talking to your professor. It's not going to work, right? You have to internalize it. You have to act on it over and over again. Like on the soccer field, right? You do the drills, but when you're on the field, you do it, right? You're not executing a drill. You're doing based on what you've drilled in the past, right? The skills you've put inside you. So I call this charisma kata number 1. It's called blank sheet. Okay? So what you're going to do when you leave here today, is the first situation you come across where you want to have charisma, just a few steps. Step 1. Whoever you're interacting with, you're going to either give them a statement or you're going to ask them a question. So the question would be, how are you feeling today? Okay? But you have to ask them like you really care, not like, what's up? You know, like you got to ask them like, how are you feeling, right? You got to really like lean into it, right? And it should be someone who you normally, talk to, not like some random stranger, right? Say, how are you feeling today? And if they kind of, blow it off, you can ask them again, like, really, I'm curious, how are you feeling today? And if you get the type of person who doesn't respond well to questions, I got a great little tip for you. Make a statement, right? Say, you seem down today, or you seem really excited about something. And those type of people, they love to expound on what you noticed about them, or they love to correct you because what you said isn't exactly right. So 2 ways you can do it, but both are kind of getting to their emotions, right? So you can ask, how are you feeling today? And really ask. Or you can say, if you don't feel like asking questions, seems intrusive, just say, hey, make an observation. You seem especially happy today. Does that make sense? We got step 1? Okay, so step 2 is now they're talking to you, right? And they're sharing things. And I want you to imagine yourself as a blank sheet of paper. And the words that are coming out of their mouth, and it's actually more than the words. It's the body language, it's the nonverbals, it's kind of the aura. That's what's being written on you, right? You are the blank sheet of paper, and you are just listening silently. You're not doing anything. You're blank. You're a blank sheet of paper. Now, of course, kind of nod to make them sure, to assure them you're paying attention, and interact in a normal human way, but don't talk, don't ask questions at this point, don't interject. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So now they're talking, they're writing on you, they're filling up the piece of paper. There's going to come a point where the paper's about half full, right? And you're going to kind of sense what's going on with this person, right? Because you've just let them go. And they're talking, and they're answering this question, how are you feeling? Or they're responding to your observation about their emotional state or their situation. And at that point, and only at that point, and you'll feel it, you'll feel like a kind of aha, you'll feel like a light bulb go off in your head, oh, this is what's going on with that person. Only at that point, I want you to start also adding to the paper, right? I want you to start writing on the paper too. And what does that mean? Ask questions, add insights, fill in gaps of what's going on. Now you can start to, if you want, like make recommendations or suggestions, but only after you let them write on that first half sheet of paper first, and then you come in. Because now you kind of know what's really going on with them, and you have a better sense of how you can help them get to a better place. And here's the thing, you're not shoving them there, you're not pushing them there, you're going there with them together. You're writing on a piece of paper together, collaboratively. They're coming with you, just like Janine went to the stores with the person. She didn't sit at home and wait for Amazon to deliver it. She physically went to the store with them. So it's the same thing with charisma. You are actually bringing them with you to the place where they need to go. Does that make sense? So step 1, ask the question or make the statement. How are you feeling? You seen, and really, lay into it, right? Don't let them off easy. Step 2, be a blank sheet of paper. Let everything they're saying and doing sort of come out and write on your consciousness. Step 3, and only when step 2 is complete, sort of start to add to the paper 2 and write a beautiful piece of charismatic paper together. If you do this, I guarantee you, it will change the way you experience people and life. And you're not trying to be more charismatic, but people will be like, wow, you are more charismatic. Last thing I'll say, how will you know that it's working? We call them the 3 L's, right? These are the 3 tells. First tell, the lean. Right? You know, like when you're talking to someone and you're just really kind of like engaged and stuff, you both kind of like imperceptibly kind of lean in a little bit closer, or you close the gap. You don't even realize you're doing it. But if you look for it, you'll see. Versus you're talking to someone you can't stand, or they're really busy, what happens? They gradually edge away, and if you don't get the message, sometimes you follow them, but they're really trying to like lean away, right? So that's 1. You'll see the lean. 2, the laugh. And it's not always a literal laugh, like ha ha ha, like you're telling a joke, but you'll see it in their eyes, in their body language. You'll see their spirit is lifted up. So you'll see the laughter in their spirit. And the 3rd one, and this is my favorite one, the look. Not the look I get from my wife when I don't take out the garbage when I said I would, but the look of, wow, this was a really great interaction. This was rare. Normally I just talk to people and it's like, whatever. But with this person, this was something special. And you'll see, as you break off the conversation and they turn to go, they'll get like a look in their eyes, like they're like looking off and they're sort of remembering what happened, and they'll go, yeah. Like after you have a really good meal, and you're like, wow, that was a good meal. Or you hear a really great song for the first time, you're like, wow. You'll see that look. So thank you so much for your attention and the participation of our volunteers. My name is Joe Kwan, the Connection Counselor, and remember, you can change your life one connection at a time.